Hi everyone, so it is June 15th and I am struggling to come up with the words to say what it is that I've been feeling, so bear with me. This is more of just another talk through video. So you know how the last video I was struggling through the whole thing, trying to get through it, and then I saw the red-tailed hawk outside of my door. It's just been intensified since then, and I feel like I'm coming on the upswing of it, in the sense that I felt there's a bald eagle circling outside. The upswing of this feeling of getting really introspective. And earlier today I went on a walk and I saw a Cooper's hawk, and then I heard a red-tailed hawk, and then I looked up and there was a juvenile bald eagle with a big fish getting chased by a little bird above me. And I found myself through this several days, this process of questioning why rather than what, which I think is a very encouraging feeling for me in particular, because I'm often questioning what. Like, what is this? Is this a sign or is this coincidence? Is this DNA consciousness or is this an energy? For me, and I don't know if I received this as a vision necessarily. If I have, then I can't think off the top of my head when I would have received this information. I get this mostly from experience, where I've kind of determined something called DNA consciousness, where essentially our human body, so like who you are, your DNA threaded into it of your ancestors, like your physical ancestors, all of the stories that they shared, all of their experiences are threaded into your DNA. And so some near-death experiences, some meditative experiences are actually being drawn from your DNA, and it's not necessarily a spiritual energy separate from the DNA. Not saying it's not a spiritual experience, it's just coming from a different source, and it could be misinterpreted. But does it really matter? No. And I think when I come up with the question of why, that really shifts me from questioning from a skeptical point of view, to the point of a waste of time, right? Because as we've talked about with obedience and God using different vehicles to deliver the message, then of course God is going to use what is relevant to that individual. If they're not necessarily a psychic, or they're not at a frequency in order to pick up on energies that are beyond this, they're going to use that different energy, because that's what I mean by experience. It feels like a different energy, like a different frequency when it's of the DNA consciousness. And so then they might use something like that, or, you know, God working through people, you know, and so, or animals, right? Or your spirit guides guiding animals towards you, or drawing your point of attention to synchronicities in your life. You know, you may be driving by a billboard that has 222 on it constantly, and yet you never notice it until your guides are driving your consciousness to look at that, right? Driving your subconscious to look at that, right? Your inner thoughts are guided towards that. Why? What is it all connecting to, right? And so that's kind of where I see myself looking of, why is God showing me this? Why is God choosing to let me remember these things? Why is God not choosing, but like basically why of everything? When I say when I use that example, it's because I keep being drawn to this memory I have when I was a baby. I was a newborn. I couldn't roll over. I was in the crib, and I just remember so many, I don't know, it feels like days, because I remember nighttime. I remember waking up multiple times when it's dark, and I remember how in love I was with the world. I would wake up and I would see the sun shining through the blinds, and I was so grateful. I was so grateful to be here on earth. I was so grateful to have that perception of a future here and what that entailed and the possibilities of the things that that entailed. I don't know if I've ever said it as bluntly as I'm gonna say it now, but I've never felt like I died, ever. And that was something I struggled with so long in my life, because I felt like that wasn't normal, and I never said it out loud, so that's why I'm not sure if I would have said it recently, because if I did say it on here, then that would have been the first time I've ever said it was to you guys, and this is officially the first time that if I haven't, okay? Publicly said that, you know, I've said it to like one other person that I know of, but I've literally never felt like I died. And yeah, so I've come to this point in my life where I question not necessarily the truth of it, the reality of it, but the question of why. Like, I'm starting to really believe myself, trust myself. And I think that's a major step for me, because I've really been working on, you know, staying accountable for who I am. And that doesn't just include negative aspects about me, negative things about my past. This really includes accountability for what I experience and what I believe and what I see, what I feel. And the more I'm honest with myself, the more unhinged I am. It's like the more I'm closer to who I am, you know. I was talking with my friend the other day, and we were saying how, like, personal accountability, like, it's so important not to let yourself slip, because then you lose sight of who you really are. Like, it's just this small, gradual thing. The more that you kind of deny things, or the more that you kind of don't really reflect on yourself, the easier it is to be further from who you truly are and not really see where that happened, kind of thing. And I think a huge step for me is acknowledging that that's something that I believe. I believe that I perceive that I've never actually died. So there you have it. I will tell you, and he's like, why are you telling me this? I don't know. I don't know why I'm telling you guys this. It's a lead up to something. I don't know what. I don't know what. I will say, like, I feel like it kind of brings me to the concept of narrow-mindedness, where the way that I feel about, like, this, our perception, like our experience, our life experience, is like this beam, like this laser beam into who you are, right? And the more that you identify yourself with identifiers here, the more that beam, that focus is kind of smaller, right? The more narrow you become, right? And so it's like the more you identify, I don't mean it in like an imbalanced way, right? Like, and not to be all like up in the clouds, but it's like the more that you cling to this temporary identity, I guess, because like in essence, I'm just gonna jump around, but I'm just thinking about how like people say sometimes like certain things are meaningless, right? Like some things that happen are meaningless, or you know, whatever, like life could be meaningless, that kind of stuff. When I completely disagree. I think every single experience is so meaningful. Like everything is so meaningful. That's probably exhausting to hear, but like I literally believe like every single moment, every single breath, every single bit is so powerful and so meaningful. Like our existence alone is such a beautiful thing, and like spiritual, right? Like this is proof alone. Like every single bit of this is spiritual. I don't know, I'll talk about the other stuff later. That's what I want to say today. I'm gonna leave it at that. I know it's like random and weird, and it's like, what is this? I don't know what to tell you. Let me pull from here. Okay, let's just pull from here and see. The High Priestess and the Star. To be determined. That's what I hear. All right, there's gonna be a jump cut because I should at least say bye to you guys. The reason why there's a jump cut is because I just keep getting the same information, where basically don't look into this anymore. I leave it at that, and that's it. No, nothing else. Leave it alone. So that's what I'm doing. I'll talk to you guys later. Toodaloo.